Welcome to Project Womble. We are exploring Temple Underground Station in this edition. So Temple opened in 1872. It's on two lines, the Circle Line and the District Line. It's a Zone 1 station. It's got two platforms. It is in the local authority area of Westminster and it serves the area of Temple. It's a lovely Grade 2 listed station, which is very unique because on the roof it's got this, which is called the Artist's Garden, which is a nice open space terrace kind of thing in partnership with Art on the Underground. Various artists come and do art installations, but you can go and sit up there, explore, and it overlooks the Thames and the Victoria Embankment there, so quite unique. Nice little space to come up and explore. It was a little bit run down when I thought some of the benches were in need of repair. Definitely worth a look. Just down from there, if we head down the steps, you'll find Grade 2 listed Cabman shelter, which is this. So you might see these dotted around London. There's 13 or 14 of them around London, and what they are is tea shacks where cabbies can, like cab drivers, can stop off and get an affordable cup of tea and a bacon sarnie or what have you. There were 61 of them built between 1875 and 1914. And it was kind of a part of a project set up by the 7th Earl of Shaftesbury, Anthony Ashley Cooper, this guy. So he was a social reformer who was called the poor man's Earl, and he campaigned for better working conditions, changes in education, and he even campaigned to stop child labour and was a strong supporter of getting rid of chimney sweeps, like boys as chimney sweeps. So yeah, it sounds like a real all-round good solid guy. But anyway, he set up the Cabman shelters, and the remaining ones, all of the ones that you see around London, they're all listed buildings now. You have to be a cabbie to go inside, but you don't have to be a cabbie to buy a cuppa. So if you see one of these little green huts, go and support them with your coin and buy a little cuppa from them. It's always a good idea to support these little independent businesses. Next up, we're on Surrey Street, heading north-ish. I'm going to insert a little map here actually. Let's have a quick look at the route and where we are. So we're on Surrey Street at the moment. This is a lovely little walk, and these walks are available on the Go Jauntly app as per usual. Today we're going to snake our way around the Temple area. We're going to have a little look at Fleet Street. We're going to look at some beautiful listed buildings, some spectacular gardens, the iconic Temple Church, a disused underground station, and then we're going to make our way back along the Victoria Embankment. If you're going to do this walk yourself, word to the wise, you'll need to time it for a weekday around lunchtime, because some of the gardens have got restricted access and they're not open at weekends. And try and time it for the summer, because the gardens are spectacular and it's the kind of place you kind of want to explore when everything's in bloom. I love London. I love London all year round, but certain parts of it obviously look better in the summer and certain parts of it look better in the winter. Okay, let's walk back to Surrey Street. Check out this absolutely stunning Grade 2 listed building. Dates back to 1891. Just look at it. It's like Flemish Renaissance style. Architect is John Donne. Absolutely spectacular. Even the railings are spectacular. Just so intricate. I love it. And then right next door, we've got this curious little thing, which is the Roman bath. It's not really a Roman bath. It actually dates back to around 1612, but it's still interesting. It's owned by the National Trust. It's gated and locked. You can't, get in, but they do visits at certain times of the year if you wanted to have a little look at it. It's a quirky little thing, so it gets quirky points. It was also mentioned by Charles Dickens in David Copperfield, so it gets book points. And then right next door to that, at the top of the street, we've got this, which is the absolutely iconic, stunning Leslie Green Aldwych station, which is a disused station, like a ghost station, if you will. In fact, a lot of these ghost stations are allegedly haunted, and this one is no exception. This particular one opened in 1907 and it closed in 1994 because it wasn't getting a lot of use, and it would cost more money to repair it and upgrade it than to just do away with it. It's now used as a film set. Atonement was filmed here. I love that film. I love that green dress. Fun fact, green is often used in films to make the audience feel uneasy. Did you know that? Like a lot of the underground stations, it was used as a bomb shelter in World War II, and this particular one was actually used to house treasures from the British Museum to protect them during the war. Right, next up we've got this absolute beauty, the Grade 1 listed Christopher Wren St Clement's Danes Church. What a stunner. Let's take a little cheeky peek inside. There's been a church on this site since medieval times, but the original church was destroyed in the Great Fire of London. So this was repaired and restored, rebuilt by Christopher Wren. Like many things, he was a busy man after the Great Fire of London. And quirky little fact for you, this is for the rugby fans out there. Apparently, William Webb Ellis, who is reported to be the man who invented rugby, he was the pastor here. Pastor? Is it a pastor? Rector. He was the rector of this church. So according to legend, he was playing football during a school football match, and he went to school in a town called Rugby. This was in 1823. Anyway, he picked up the ball and started running with it, and apparently everyone thought it was a good idea, and that's how rugby was created. Allegedly. However, more iconic than that, in my humble opinion, this church, St Clement's Danes, is associated with the nursery rhyme Oranges and Lemons. This is it. This is St Clement's. And if you get here on your walk and time it perfectly, you'll hear the bells chime and they play the song. They play the song of Oranges and Lemons. Try and capture that and put it in. So if I've managed to do that, you'll hear it now. The reason it's called St Clement's Danes is because it was founded by the Danes back in the 9th century. So we're talking Viking times. Does anyone watch Vikings? I love it. Vikings, The Last Kingdom, all of those things. I've watched loads of them, but I'm rapidly running out of things to watch on Netflix. I've got Netflix, I've got Prime, I've got Disney Plus. So give me some good suggestions of things to watch. Right, time to leave St Clement's and continue on our journey. We're just crossing over here, and then we're going to head south-ish down Milford Lane. On Milford Lane, we'll find this gorgeous little thing, which is the Cheshire Cheese, can't say it, public house, built in 1928. It's Grade 2 listed, you know I love a listed building, and the architect was Thomas Henry Noel Parr. Now this pub's interesting because it's one of the improved pubs. So after the war, there was like a big push to kind of reform pubs, to sort of cut back on the amount of drunkenness associated with like conventional Victorian and Edwardian pubs. And so improved pubs had a bit more space. They've got like restaurant facilities where people could eat as well as drink. They sort of encouraged more families to come in and have a mix of incomes and classes. Also, they tended to have like rooms upstairs where the landlord could live in. And this is a really, really good example. I didn't pop inside because it was actually closed, because this was quite early in the morning. It's a beauty, and I would highly recommend having a little peek just to see what it looks like inside. Right, now we're having a little turbo dash down Milford Lane because there's a few cool things that I want to show you at the bottom. First up, we've got a Grade 2 listed Giles Gilbert Scott K2 telephone box. These are just iconic, aren't they? All of these are listed. There's a really cool one down Heddon Street, which you'll see in my Piccadilly Circus video. That one's super cool because it's the one that David Bowie posed in for the Ziggy Stardust album cover. So check that video out. It's one of my older videos. My older videos are a little bit ropey, and I do plan on re-recording them and going back and redoing the tours because I've grown during the project and my editing skills have got a little bit better, etc. So I do plan on redoing those, but I haven't taken any of my older work down. I've just left it for now. If you do go back and watch some of my older videos, then they're not the best, but we've all got to start somewhere, right? Anyway, I digress. I'm rambling. Back to the phone box. This one's even got a little sign on it you can see there to let people know that it's like protected. A lot of them are sealed shut. I think they're lovely. Good old Giles Gilbert Scott, hey? He's got a really nice house, actually. We saw that, didn't we, when we did Lancaster Gate? Yeah, I remember that house. Very nice. Anyway, next up, we've got this beautiful house, which is 2 Temple Place. What a stunner. Grade 1 listed. I do get extra excited about these Grade 1 listed buildings. Can you see that picture there? That's actually a photograph of the gold weather vane that's up on the roof. It's a replica of the Santa Maria ship, which is the ship that Christopher Columbus discovered America in. The reason that's on the roof is because this house used to belong to William Waldorf Astor, who was the second richest man in America, second to Rockefeller. There he is. There's a picture of him there, look. We saw his son last week when we did St James's Park. Do you remember we did Nancy Astor? This is her father-in-law's house. Not too shabby, huh? Not too shabby. It was designed by John Loughborough Pearson. We saw him when we went to Great Portland Street. Do you remember that really beautiful gold gilded temple that I took you into? He's the guy that designed that, but he also designed this absolute beauty. It's absolutely magnificent. Even these gates are Grade 2 listed. And then if you take a cheeky peek through the gate, you'll see a couple of cherubs. I managed to get in there. I managed to talk the security guard in to letting me go in and take a couple of pictures. So I'll insert the pictures. But basically, there's cherubs. One's holding a telephone and one's holding a light bulb, because Astor was like quite keen on, technology, and this house was one of the first houses in London to actually have a telephone, which was groundbreaking at the time. Apparently it's absolutely spectacular inside. I haven't been in, but they do open days. Sometimes when they do like the heritage open days and things, you can go and have a little look inside. So I've added that to my bucket list because I think it'd be a really nice one to have a little sneaky peek at inside. Okay, so we're back on Milford Lane now. Let's have a quick look at the map and see where we're at and where we're headed. Right then, so we're on Milford Lane, not too far away from Temple Station actually. We are going to head up towards Fleet Street, and then once we're on Fleet Street we can look at some listed buildings, and then we're going to go down past Temple Church and then finish up in the absolutely stunning gardens of the Inner Temple. So let's do it. We're heading into the Middle Temple area now. There's 2 gardens, Middle Temple and Inner Temple, and I personally found this Middle Temple bit a little bit kind of you can't sit with us vibes, but the other gardens, which I'll show you in a bit, felt much friendlier, much more open, much more welcoming. I'm just going to show you a peek over the wall. I didn't venture actually into the grounds. It just felt like someone's back garden, and I just didn't feel that comfortable going in there. Apparently, according to legend, William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night was first performed here. This whole area forms part of the Inns of Court, so there's lots of barristers around, lots of legal offices. We're just walking past the Grade 1 listed Middle Temple Hall. This was built in 1562. I mean, that's mega old, right? So it's Elizabethan, and it's one of the finest examples of Elizabethan architecture in London. Do you remember when we went to see St Paul's over by Smithfield, and we saw those Elizabethan houses, which were the oldest residential dwellings? So this is another example of Elizabethan architecture. Absolutely stunning, isn't it? This area around here is called Fountain Court. It's a nice place to go and people watch, but also a nice place to kind of think about like the legal history of the area. Since we're here, I'd like to tell you about Helena Normanton. You know, I always like to put in a little bit of women's history, and she was a pioneering figure in the history of law in England. So in 1919, following the passage of the Sex Discrimination Disqualification Act, she was allowed to enter the legal profession, because before then women weren't allowed. I mean, can you imagine? Anyway, she became the first woman to be admitted to an Inn of Court, and she was admitted to the Middle Temple, which is here. She was called to the bar in 1922, making her one of the first women barristers in England. She was the first female counsel to lead a case at the High Court and the first woman to obtain a divorce for a client. She's got a blue plaque over in Bloomsbury, so we'll probably cover her again when we're over that way, but I just wanted to mention her because we don't talk about women's history enough. This area we're in now is called Devereux Court. So there's a couple of grade 1 listed buildings here. Devereux Gateway, which I'll show you in a second, that's grade 1 listed. New Court Chambers, which is over to one side, that's grade 1 listed. Devereux Chambers, grade 2 listed, that's just in front of us. And houses number 20, 22 and 23 are all grade 2 listed. Here is the Devereux Archway, this bit here, that is grade 1 listed. We're just going to go under the archway now. The area itself, Devereux Court, is named after Robert Devereux, the 2nd Earl of Essex. He was a favourite of Queen Elizabeth I. He wasn't a favourite forever because he was executed in 1601 for treason. But I like a street name with an origin, so we're giving it street points. Right, we're just walking past the George pub, a favourite drinking hole of a few famous peeps. Horace Walpole used to drink in here, and according to legend, Samuel Johnson used to spend so much time here he even had his post sent to this address. This isn't a listed building for some obscure reason, but it was established in 1723 and it was originally called George's Coffee House. And quirky little fact, during the 18th century, coffee houses were often referred to as penny universities, because for the price of a coffee you could engage in some lively conversation on politics, philosophy, science, law, all that good stuff. Talking of law, look where we are. Look where this little alleyway has popped us out in front of. The Royal Courts of Justice. What absolute beauty. I absolutely love a grade 1 listed building. The architect was George Edmund Street, and it was commissioned in 1882 by Queen Victoria. It's so impressive. It's done in the Gothic revival style and I absolutely love it. I think it's iconic. I'm giving it screen points because you must have seen it on screen. It's always on the telly. And then right next door, we've got the Twinings tea shop. Oh, look at that reflection of the Royal Courts of Justice in the window. Absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, Twinings. It's grade 2 listed, so it gets grade points. Twinings was founded by Thomas Twining, founded in 1706. They've got a blend of tea called 1706, and that's why. I love tea. Absolutely love it. There's something so quintessentially English, British about a cup of tea, isn't there? And Twinings is iconic. The shop's like a TARDIS, it goes all the way back, and they do like tea workshops in there. I bought one for my mum for Christmas and she loved it. She took my dad, he loved it as well. Twinings is on the Strand, and the Strand turns into Fleet Street once you get past the Temple Bar, which is here. This is the Temple Bar Memorial, which was designed by architect Horace Jones. He's the guy that designed Tower Bridge. So this is the memorial that marks the spot where the Temple Bar used to be. It's actually moved to Paternoster Square, which I showed you when we did St Paul's. And then just across from there, you've got this building, which is grade 2 listed. It is former branch of the Bank of England. It's now a trendy wine bar. It was converted in 1994. We're on Fleet Street now, so we get street points and monopoly points. This building I'm showing you here is the Inner Temple Gatehouse, sometimes known as Prince Henry's Reading Room, named in honour of Prince Henry, the eldest son of King James I, the heir, but he died when he was 18. It's listed and it dates back to around 1610, which means it survived the Great Fire of London. It's a gateway into the temple area, and we're going to go down there in a second. But before then, there's a building next door I want to show you, so we're just going to go and have a quick look at that. This is Ye Olde Cock Tavern. The Old Cock Tavern. In Old English, they used to spell the Y-E for some reason. It's grade 2 listed. It was originally founded in 1568, not this building, this is a remake. But it's been here a fair old bit of time, and it was frequented by several famous literary figures, including Samuel Pepys and Alfred Tennyson, you know, the Charge of the Light Brigade guy, the poet laureate. Right, we're now backtracking and going through that little archway underneath Prince Henry's reading room, which pops you out on Inner Temple Lane. On Inner Temple Lane, you'll find this, which is a grade 2 listed Sydney Smirk building built in 1858. It's called Dr. Johnson's building, but Dr. Johnson didn't live there. He lived nearby. I'll show you his house when we do Chancery Lane. Also on Inner Temple Lane, we've got Temple Church, obviously. So we're going to rack up some points here. We've got grade points, book points, screen points, iconic points. So Temple Church is one of London's most historic and architecturally significant churches. The whole area pivots around this church and is named after it. So it's got a rich history tied to the Knights Templar, and if you're anything like me, you probably read the Da Vinci Code back in the day. Book points, screen points there for the Da Vinci Code. It is grade 1 listed. It was consecrated in 1185. Yes, 1185. So it goes all the way back to the 12th century. Obviously, the building has changed. It did experience significant damage in World War II during the Blitz. It was reopened in 1958. So the building we're looking at now is a restored version of what it would have originally looked like, but it's not the original church from 1185. Next door to the Temple Church, we've got this, which is Pump Court. Numbers 4 and 6 are grade 1 listed. They date back to 1686. It's a beautiful little courtyard, absolutely stunning. It's got, you know, Georgian elements, Victorian elements. It's got cobbles, it's got gas lamps. I'm giving it street points because I just think it's absolutely stunning. Just off of Pump Court, we've got this beautiful little archway which leads us out here. I mean, just look at how stunning all of these buildings are. We're just passing the Middle Temple Hall. Do you remember I showed you that before? So basically we've gone past it, up round Fleet Street and then back down on ourselves. So here it is again. What a beautiful piece of Elizabethan architecture. It was a lovely sunny day when I went. I love it when the weather's on my side. You know, people sometimes comment, like, how come it's always so quiet in London when you do your videos? It's not. I just cut all the people out. I'm sure these random people don't want to be in my YouTube videos, so I try and film around them, and if I do capture any faces in the shots, I try and cut them out, and when I really can't cut them out, I blur them out. I realise I don't have to do that. I just feel like it's a common courtesy, and I just think the footage looks nicer with no people in. We're wandering down these cobbled streets on our way to the Inner Temple Gardens. Right, we're just entering the gardens now. Look how spectacular everything is. They've got some like beautiful hydrangeas, all sorts. They're open to the public, but not all the time. So it's got quite sort of strict visiting hours. So members of the court can use the gardens all the time. But Gen Pop, you and I, the plebs, can only use it on weekdays between 12 and 3. So if you're going to go, obviously, time your visit for a lunchtime on a weekday. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get in. It is gated, and there's literally one gate in and one gate out, and all the other gates have got padlocks on. This is the first time I'd ever been there, and it was absolutely lovely. I went because I was filming the video, but it's not an area I'm particularly familiar with. I'm so glad I've familiarised myself with it now, because it's lovely. It's like a little secret garden, like a little oasis right smack bang in the middle of Zone 1. And this is the exact reason why I started my project. I love London, I love exploring London, and I love finding new bits that I've never been to before. The whole reason I set up Project Womble was because last year I went to the Happy Place Festival and I got off at Turnham Green Underground Station. I said to my husband, wow, how have we never been here before? There's so many like underground stations that I've like passed through but never got off at, and so yeah, I set the project up with a view to get off at every station and explore. Anyway, let's have a little bit of a walk and talk, and I'll tell you about the Inns of Court and the local area. So, King Henry III, 1232, King Henry III, way back when, he set a decree that law could not be taught in the City of London. This area, which is just outside the City of London, like we saw where the Temple Bar marker was, so all of the barristers, lawyers, all kind of migrated over here to this area to set up shop so that they could practice law just outside of the City of London. Make sense? Right, we're heading out of the gardens now. Like I said earlier, there's one gate in and one gate out, so you just have to do a loop and then go back on yourself. So we're back on this beautiful cobbled street in a Temple Lane, and we're going to head down the bottom, go through this archway, which will pop us out on Victoria Embankment. On our way out, we've got this absolutely stunning Grade 2 listed beauty. Dates back to 1878. So it's made of Portland stone and it's like a 16th century French chateau style. It's so beautiful, lots of rich elaborate carvings. It's the work of Edward Middleton Barry, son of Sir Charles Barry, who was the architect behind the Houses of Parliament. Right, we're out on Victoria Embankment now. We're just going past one of the boundary dragons. These are Grade 2 listed. There's one on either side of the road and it marks the start of the City of London. So the city is always bounded by dragons. Right, we're just going in Victoria Embankment Gardens because I just wanted to show you this statue. So we've got John Stuart Mill here. Lovely statue of him. Do you remember we spoke about him a couple of episodes ago when we did St James's Park and we saw his house? He's the author of the I can't say it, The Subjugation of Women, the iconic feminist book. Fun fact, this statue was unveiled in 1878 by Henry Fawcett, who was married to Millicent Fawcett, who was a famous suffragette. We'll see her when we look at Westminster. I'm going to be doing Westminster soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm researching it at the moment, so watch this space. Right, we're back at Temple Station now. I hope you enjoyed that tour. It's a really beautiful area to explore, Temple. I must admit, I've not really ventured out this way because it's all a little bit Earl Grey tea vibes. You can't sit with us, but it came up on the spinner. I needed to go and visit it. I did the research, I did a few recce's and had a little look around and I kind of fell in love with the place. It's absolutely beautiful. I highly recommend a little Womble. Thank you for watching to the end. You are my favourite people. The people who watch to the end really do help the channel. I hit my 1 year anniversary this month, so I've been doing Project Womble for a year. That's cool. I love this project. I'm so glad I started it. It's been a brilliant little hobby to do and I've learned so much. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I've met some lovely people along the way. My little followers are so gorgeous, so lovely. They always leave lovely comments. I've got a nice little community over on Instagram. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Thank you. And I will see you again for our next station, which is going to be a little bit different. Stay tuned for that.